Let's make some pretty pictures. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vivien Reis. I want to help you write, publish, and market your novel. Today is kind of like part of the marketing equation of that. So we're talking about making pictures. I'm using Picmonkey specifically. That's something that I've been using, I think, for 3 years now. You can also use canva.com. They're kind of like comparable, but I have a link to sign up for the free trial for Picmonkey down below. I just prefer Picmonkey. Canva, they have different capabilities, but 3 years ago when I was looking at the two of them, Picmonkey was way better. So I have been paying for Picmonkey for about 3 years now, and it's what I use for pretty much all of my images on my website, any marketing materials that I make. I even design my wedding invitations with it, my baby shower invitations. You can do everything with it. So I'm going to jump into the basics of photo editing with Picmonkey, and these are like the basics. So these are things that it took me a little while to learn. I am nowhere near an expert in this subject, but it's all with Picmonkey. So we're going to jump into my computer and I'm going to tell you all about it and show you any tips and tricks that I have developed along the way. I'm sorry, that was a really long intro. Alrighty, welcome to my desktop. We're going to go, I picked a couple pictures that I'm going to use today. So I have this picture that I'm going to edit, show you some basics with it. So maybe you can use this one for your Instagram page or maybe your author website. So I'm going to give you some basics with this. I'm kind of regretting choosing a model with fluffy hair like me, but you know, whatever. It's realistic. Okay, and then I have this picture as well. This is going to be more like a marketing image for your website. So I'm going to show you some basics with editing those. Okay, so here is the Picmonkey page. You can always choose to edit a picture. This basically opens up a picture that's already flat, if that makes sense. I'm going to tell you what that means in a second. But so I could open up on my computer. So say I wanted to edit this picture. This is something I downloaded a while ago. See, I can't like pick this picture up and move it anymore. It's basically already flat. And here you can see your layers. If you add anything to your image right here, it's going to show up as a layer, but things that are grayed out like this, they're pretty much already flattened to the image. So you can't pick them up, you can't edit them, you can't move them. What I like to do the most is create a custom size. So a lot of times I'll do 1920 by 1080. We're going to switch that around since I know my first picture is a vertical. So I pretty much always start with my own custom dimensions like that. And we're going to get to transparent canvas in just a minute. That is something that is pretty cool that you can use for marketing materials. Kind of makes it look pretty good. And this is basic. I forgot to mention a second ago, I do not do any editing pretty much in like Photoshop or anything. I've only used this for like my entire business. So it has served me pretty well, I think. All right, so if you come here to graphics and click on add your own, you can add that picture that I had picked out a second ago. If I can just find it. So we're adding this one right now. And there's so many cool little tips and tricks with Picmonkey. I'm probably gonna do another video soon. You can tell that the aspect ratio of this picture is different because it's not filling in the picture as much, but that's okay. All right, and then if you ever want to resize your canvas, you can always change the dimensions right here. You can keep the proportions if you want to. So, okay, actually, let me show you what this does. If I change it to, let's say 900 and don't keep the proportions and do 1500. Actually, that didn't look like it changed that much. We'll make this ridiculous. Apply. It distorted your image a little bit. I don't know if you could see that. So you can always right click and say original aspect ratio and it'll change it back. So she was kind of like stretched out a little funny there, this picture. So that's just a general tip for you. Let me change this back to the dimensions that I want. Actually, I don't really like how this one looks. I'm going to do like 1600 just because I'm making stuff up here. So again, right click, original aspect ratio. Boom. You can see a little more of her. Okay, so when you add a picture like this into Picmonkey, if you say you want to, if you come, what is this one called? To effects, You can add different effects to your images. So this is good if you want to have a theme for Instagram or just for your website. But if I click Orton, for example, nothing happened. And that is because if you open up your layers here, again, you can see that the background is flat, so we can't pick the background up, but we can pick up the image because it's not all been flattened down, if that makes sense. But basically, to add any of these effects, you have to flatten your image first. I don't know why I double clicked that. And then you can see that it added the effect to it. But we're not going to add that effect, and I'm actually going to unflatten my picture really quick. I'm sorry if my voice sounds raspy for the duration of this video. It's kind of early in the morning. So, okay, so we're starting with the basics. All right, so we're going to start with two things really quick. We're going to do temperature and tint. These are the basics of photo editing. And I'm not an expert. I'm going to say things that to an expert are going to seem like they're incorrect, but I'm going to try to explain them for everybody else, for people like me who aren't like photo editing geniuses, I guess, that don't already use Photoshop. You can kind of see relative to this. I always try to have like a reference. This is white. You can see its background. Maybe it is white. Maybe it's not supposed to be white, but this picture definitely doesn't make it look white. So, to edit any colors for your picture, you also have to flatten your image. And then we can go to colors right here, and here's your temperature. Now saturation is, to the left makes it black and white. So if you want to have black and white images for whatever marketing purposes, and then this way makes it ridiculously colorful. So sometimes if you don't have that much color to your image, or you want to make the colors pop a little bit, you can turn up your saturation, but we're just gonna kind of keep it down. Also, this picture that I downloaded, I got from pexels.com, and this is where I get a lot of my free images. This already has some like a thematic color grading to it, but this is good because a lot of times when you take pictures with your phone or with your camera, sometimes you have some crazy hues, especially if you have my camera. I'm in a battle with my camera all the time about that. Yeah, we talk it out basically. So your temperature, okay, to the left is always blue, and then to the right is always yellow. And yes, they look ridiculous and extreme. So let's go back to 0 here. This looks a little yellow on the background. Again, if this is something that you want, like a theme that you want on your Instagram page, you can always, a lot of people have like warmer images on their Instagram page, or I went the wrong way, warmer images on their Instagram page or cooler images on their Instagram page. I'm just going to try to get this background as white as I can, which actually that doesn't look too bad here. But something that I like to do is I kind of will go left and right. And if you notice, like if I go too far left, it looks too blue. And if I go too far right, it looks too yellow. So I do that, and I can kind of pick the middle point. Like I can see what's too extreme either way, and then kind of like pick my middle point until I can't see either blue or yellow in it, if that makes sense. I hope that does make sense. So I think this looks pretty good at -9. I think that actually looks pretty darn good. So that is your temperature. So that's yellow and blue. Okay, so I actually opened up this one to try to edit and show you guys what I'm talking about a little better. But when I flipped back here, excuse me, sorry for my voice. You can see this background has a bit of a green tint to it, and it's quite visible when you flip back and forth between these two images. So sometimes that's another tip. You can kind of get a little blind to the picture that you're editing. So if you go somewhere else, you can kind of see, if you click on another tab or something like that, you can see what needs to be edited out of the picture, because sometimes I can't see that stuff. So we're going to go to tint, because in the color tab, Picmonkey does not have tint as part of their colors tab. I wish that they did, but there is a way to get around this. So we added some blue to our picture. Tint, so temperature goes blue on this side and then yellow on this side. Tint goes green on this side and purple on this side. If you ever go to the left, this is a generalization here. If you ever go to the left and add blue to your picture, you always need to go the opposite direction with your tint and add purple to the picture. And that's just in general. Sometimes you have to go the same direction. It just depends on the picture that you're starting with. So for this particular picture, like I said, you can see green in the background. That means we need to go towards the right and get away from the green, and we need to add some purple to balance it out. So you go to tint, you go to your effects tab here and just scroll down to tint. Where is it? There it is. And then, like I said, we need to add purple. This isn't the perfect way to do this because this is a ridiculous purple. And then you look at that and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? So go to fade it back to 100%, and you can't, it doesn't have, the tint is not affected. So like I said, again, I like to go to the, not to the extreme, but so I go towards the left a little bit and like, oh, I can see purple a little too much. I don't want to be able to really see it like tinted in the picture. So I kind of go back and forth until I can't see the purple, but I can't really see the green. So this looks like almost 94% works really well. Again, you can flip to a different picture to kind of like clear your eyes. It's almost like cleansing your eyes, like you would cleansing your palette, I guess. See that when I flip between this like white of my website and here, I can kind of see a little purpley, and I don't want to see that. So let's move this to 95. Okay, so I think this is a pretty well white balanced picture. The temperature and the tint I think look really good. So that's the basics right there. Temperature and tint. If you ever need to sort of start from ground zero with your picture, that's how you do it. All right, so say we have this image here. Let's go ahead and export it. I always use, they have like funny names for these, but they're different resolution sizes or different resolutions, and that affects the file size that you have. But I always go with strong because I like my pictures to be clear. So I'm just gonna pick one. And the reason I did that, kind of interesting here. So say I want to make this background transparent because like if you put it on your website, like I think I have it on mine. Yeah, this is a transparent background. It doesn't really look like it because it's white in the background, but this picture, like Kira was in the background over here. So I made this picture a just transparent cutout of me. I did get rid of a lot of the frizz in my hair. She also has a lot of frizz in her hair, so we'll see what this looks like. So you can always start a new project. Like you can go back to the home screen of Picmonkey, but I'm just gonna cheat here and go to canvas color. See, boom, she disappeared. But we want a transparent canvas. You could always do white. Like if you know this is gonna be white, you could always do white. But transparent is good because if you ever change the background to this, then it's gonna blend in really well. I probably could show you that, but you know, we ain't got time for that. So we now have a transparent background. Let's add our graphic. And you can really see, like, look how yellow this is right here. Maybe I can make this bigger. Somebody wanted help. Yeah, you can really tell the difference here with the yellow in the background. So let's add our picture here, and you can always go to original size, and it perfectly sizes it for you because, again, we're using the same canvas. So go to eraser here, and then that's really tiny. We want that a little bit bigger. Hello. And then you can start erasing. So this is how you make any image that you want, like transparent, with a transparent background. And this is kind of the like meticulous part. I probably won't, I just cut some of her hair off. Oh no. Getting crazy here. I'm probably not gonna actually finish this whole image because that would take quite a bit, but you can see pretty much what I'm doing. And then you can always adjust the size right here, and you can adjust the hardness. So if you want a little bit of a blurred edge, that kind of helps. I probably wouldn't go that blurry, but when you're trying to get a little closer to your image, that helps a little bit. So it's not like a harsh, hard line there. So I'm just clicking each time. I'm not like clicking and dragging, because then what happens is you click and drag and you're like, oh no, I chopped her hair off or something. I don't know. So I got crazy. You can go back to paint and you can add it back in. So if you ever get too crazy, don't worry. So we added that back in, and then I chopped some of her hair off over here. Maybe we can add that back in too. So then you can just zoom in. You can make your brush size smaller, and then do more fine detailed around wherever you need to. and just keep doing that. And then you can export. And when you export it, you'll notice that it is now a PNG. So we don't have those like Sean, Roger, Pierce things anymore. A PNG, it'd be cool if I knew what that stood for, but I just know it's PNG. So when you save it as a PNG, it's always going to have that background, transparent background. Okay, so that is transparent backgrounds. Now let's see what we want to do if you want a theme to your Instagram pictures. So again, I'm too lazy to, maybe we can open new. So I'm going to go back to the original image. I don't want to save that. So we're just going to open this one back up. So Instagram always works best if you have a theme to your Instagram. You can also have a theme on your Twitter or on your website, whatever. Theme is basically like all of the pictures look approximately the same. Kim Chance is a really good, let me pull up her Instagram really quick. Kayla also has a very noticeable theme. So Kim, all of her stuff, her theme is pink. So all of her pictures have a tint to pink. They have something pink. So Anna Vera also, I think, she has like a dark, moody theme to hers. Her pictures seem like they might be kind of high contrast. The shadows are darker. They're not like the white. Like this one actually doesn't really blend in with the rest of the pictures of her theme. Anna, I'm sorry if you're watching that. I'm not critiquing anything. And then you can see here, these pictures definitely look different than the more bright ones up here. So these ones down here, it looks like she had lower contrast to them. People on Instagram really love themes because as you're scrolling through your feed, you can just tell whose picture is whose based on the colors. I actually don't know who that is. So I don't have to actually read like this Our Lively Tribe. They're another good example. So it looks like their contrast is lower as well. That kind of makes it look a little faded, like a faded film. And then their pictures are always warmer. So they have a lot more of that yellow that we talked about earlier. Say we want to do a theme. So you can always go to effects and scroll around on here and play with these and see if there's one that you like. These do a bunch of different things. As you can tell, this made it a lot warmer. This faded it a little bit, so it looks a little like old vintagey film. And then it added a vignette around the edges, so it darkened up the edges. If I take that off, you can really see the darkened edges on that. And then you can always fade it a little bit or make it a little bit stronger if you want to. So if you want to, you can actually like layer them if you want to. I don't know which ones. So you can just scroll through here and then just see which ones you like. And you can fade them all. So if you're wanting to go for a really thematic Instagram, you can do the same, you can do dusk at, what was it, like 80% or whatever. And then tranquil at 70%. So you can remember which ones you liked for your page. But it's important that you always start with from the bottom, basically. So how we took out all of the other color in the picture, that's important because if we just took the picture that was already, didn't have, wasn't white balanced, then it would affect how this picture looked. So I guess that's just a general tip. I hope that makes sense. I know I'm rambling right now. This is new. So any premium things have a little crown on them. I did not know you could save a custom effect. That's awesome. Okay. Another thing that you could do, I'm going to take off those color effects here. Another thing that you could do if you want to add a color theme to your page, like Kim Chance's was pink, we can go ahead and do that. If we go back to tint, by audio, and then pick that's pink. That's pink. We can fade it a little bit so it's not as cray-cray. And then, et voila, pink background. But look at her face. Now it's a little too pink. So you can take your eraser here, and we want to go back to the original, so the untinted, Let's increase our brush size a little bit, increase our hardness a little bit, and then you can take it back off. That kind of makes her face look very, very yellow. But if we do this, take all this back off, as much as we can. Wow, her shirt looks really green compared to that pink. La 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 la. This is very sloppy. If I were actually posting this, I would do a better job. Just so you know. And then the hair is going to be a little difficult, so I might just fill in the... You can zoom in, kind of fine tune it if you want to, but for the purposes of this video, I picked a model with quite frizzy hair, which is accurate to me. So again, if you want to pull that back up, just press this paintbrush button. It's kind of bothering me a little bit. So I'm going to adjust the brush strength, and then so that makes your line, again, not as noticeable and as harsh, kind of blends it a little more. And then you can also reverse effect if that's something you want to do. So now we have the pink background. So if you have, so this is a good way to cheat if you have something in your picture that's not the color theme that you want to go for. You can kind of make it the theme. And then you can come over here and you can adjust it however you want. Like if you have a green theme, this makes her hair look crazy, but more blue theme or purple or red or whatever your theme is, you can always do this. Like I said, this also works. Let's see. You can reverse it. And we're going to, like, say instead of the background being pink, I wanted the shirt to be a little pink. See, boom, shirt pink. Now we can go back to the original and again, take it off her face. Just make that brush a little bigger. So that just the, so that just your shirt is your themed color. And then you can clean up around, clean the lines up a little more than I'm doing right now, but that's just kind of the basic. So now she has a pink shirt, so there's a little bit of pink. And I guess that's more red since we faded it a little bit. And yeah, that's how you kind of color things. Like that actually looks pretty dang good, except for around her neck. Looks like a Smurf. So that's a way to cheat for your theme. All right, now let's move on to website images. Like I said, this is a picture that I would consider putting on my website as like a background picture. If you go to my writing tips, this is what I'm gonna kind of recreate here. These little tiles, as you can see a lot, they generally have the same theme. They're just kind of bright white. This one has a little too much purple in it, but or a little bit more blue. We all make mistakes. Okay, so whoops, going back here. I'm gonna try to edit this to sort of match these pictures. It's sort of dark and moody, so I might not have the best time doing that. That might not be so easy. So like I said, I like mine to be bright and white. We can up the highlights. So we can bump up the highlights a little bit, maybe increase the brightness a smidge. And then, did you see how that it just fades the picture a little too much? You can add some contrast back in and it'll sort of take care of that. You can also add shadows back. Maybe I'll add shadows a little more then. And then color. I think I already took some blue into this picture. We're gonna add a little bit more. Again, we're gonna go back to tint. Since we went to the left, now we have to go to the right. So let's add some purple. See, you can really see, like, here's the extreme, here's the extreme. You can see that green when you compare it to the purple, if that makes sense. So we see some green, maybe 96 looks good. Oh, I moved it a little bit. Okay, maybe that looks good. Still not as bright as, I kind of chose a bad picture to do this with. And this is also good to tell you guys that sometimes you can't polish a turd. Like, you can't make it look like, no matter how much I edit this video, it's not gonna look as bright and light as these pictures. You kind of have to start out close to what you want it to look like. This one was a very dark and moody picture, so I'm not sure why I chose this one. I'm gonna bump up the highlights just a little bit more, even though it's getting a little crazy out there. Okay, so say this is the image and I want to crop it to square because all of these are square. So we're gonna do 936. Just to make this a square. Okay, so then, as you can see, there's like a little white chunk right there in the middle. Go to geometric and we're gonna add our white chunk. And I'm gonna make it black just because this is a dark and moody theme, so I'll just make this black. Size it approximately. We're gonna edit the size in a second, but I am gonna fade it a bit so you can see the background poking through. That's what I do here. It's a little harder to see because it's so white. Where am I? And then add your text. So I recommend having 2 or 3 texts or fonts that are part of your brand, basically, like this font right here for mine. So one of my main fonts is the font that was used on the book, on the cover of my book. So it's part of my brand, if you will. It actually might not be this one because I recently changed the colors of those. So I recommend having 2 or 3 fonts that are your fonts and you do everything with those fonts. So I'm just gonna do blackjack here. Let's do white. We'll write some random stuff in here. Writing, we can center it. We can size it how we want to. You can't make this font bold, but a lot of times I bold the fonts just so you can see them really clearly. So, oh, and you can also use grid lines and then snap to grid. I think alignment heads too will help you. Yeah, see, boom, right in the center. And then you can turn that off because it's a little distracting. And then now that we have the size of our font that we want, because we don't want it to be too big, we don't want it to be too crazy, we can adjust this. And then once again, we can turn the alignment grid on to make sure it's centered, which, oh, there we go. And there you go. There's a different version of mine. And then if you ever want to change the font, you can always just click on whatever you want. Whatever you want your style to be. All right, so I'm gonna do a thumbnail now. If you wanna do a thumbnail for YouTube, 1920 by 1080, make it. Your background doesn't matter here because you're gonna take your image and you can always just edit the image. I don't know why this is kind of the steps that I always take, just in case the picture that you took is not the same aspect ratio. So I'm just gonna go to YouTube, pick inciting incidents. I think I used this one. All right, resize your image the way that you want. I'm moving it over so I have a little bit more room for my text right here. I'm really sorry for my voice. I feel like I sound like a man. And then flatten it once you get it to the place that you want. I can already tell it's a little too warm for my taste. So add some blue to it to combat that warmth. I'm also gonna bump up the highlights a bit, brighten the picture, and then I'm gonna add a tint because I can tell it's a little green. Tint, where are you? Where are you? So we're gonna add some purple. Again, go one way that you can see the purple. I don't wanna be able to see it. Maybe that's good. So hopefully you can tell if I undo and redo, you can tell the difference. Green, purple, green, purple. And then I always like to sort of just airbrush my face a little bit here. Like, you know, because ain't nobody's perfect. And then you can always blemish fix, like if I wanted to get rid of my mole. It's pretty well gone, but oh my god, I look weird without it. That's weird. Undo. All right, click apply. And then that's pretty well set. I always, my text kind of have a theme with it. I always use this text. I always bold it. So this one was like about inciting incidents. So we'll just say inciting incidents. Doot. And then you notice all of my images, let me go to my YouTube channel. All of mine have that black on the background or around it. So you can do that in Picmonkey. You can kind of trick it because it's not like a type that you can select. I just increase my horizontal blur, my vertical blur, and then you increase the intensity. And that's how you fake it. And then you can choose whatever color you want here too. Like if you're, the theme on your channel is like bright colors, you can choose a different bright color every time. I don't recommend using a lighter color because it'll blend with the white unless your text is black, if that makes sense. So, or your text could be any color. Mine is always black and white. I keep it simple. I don't want it to be too feminine. I don't want it to be too masculine. So right in the middle. There's so much more that you can do with Picmonkey, but this video is already way too long. So comment down below if you want anything in particular that you want me to show you how to do on Picmonkey. Like I can show you how to do like text hidden behind the person a little bit, so it kind of makes you pop more in thumbnails, or just let me know if there's anything in particular that you want me to go over. All right, that's all I have for today. I hope that was really helpful. I hope that helps you in all of your, you can use it for Instagram, like I said, you can use it for your website, for YouTube thumbnails, you can use it for everything. So I hope that's helpful. Again, the link to sign up for Picmonkey, the free trial, is down below. You can do a lot of stuff with just the free version of Picmonkey, but I got the premium version a long time ago, and it is seriously, it's everything. So I have a link to one of my writing courses up in the iCards, Dreamer to Doer. It's kind of a time management course for writers. And then I also have my Patreon page if you want some exclusive content. I have a bonus video coming out this week that's exclusive to my patrons. I hope it's coming out this week. This is all contingent on Little Miss and when I can get some work done. All right, so I'll see you next week where I have another tech video coming out. So until then, happy writing.